Hello, and welcome to She Leads Biotech, the podcast that celebrates women leaders in the bioscience space. I'm your host, Sharon Cox, CEO and Managing Director of CNA International, based right here in New York. And each week I'll be talking to women leaders about their work, their triumphs and challenges, providing invaluable insight into how women can unlock their superpowers and succeed on their own terms. So whether you're navigating your own career path in bioscience or you're passionate about science and innovation, I hope you're empowered and inspired by each episode. Terri, hi.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on the show. I'm excited to talk about your journey. But where are you?
So I'm in New Jersey. I'm in our headquarters here in Bedminster and really enjoying some lovely rainy weather.
Yeah, yeah, we got the same here in New York, so I think we've got a few days of that
Yes,
to worry
yeah,
about. But never mind. Inside, it's all sunny, so we can focus
absolutely.
on that. So, an interesting thing when I was researching your bio to as to things we can talk about, you, like me, seem truly be a seasoned professional in the industry. People have said to me I'm a veteran, having done sort of 45 years in recruitment. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I like those words, but how do you feel about being a seasoned professional in this industry?
Yeah, when you can actually reflect on decades of experience, it's a little scary to think that yeah, I've been doing this for so long. But the journey has been so fulfilling to me that it feels like just yesterday I started my career. So I have been just so grateful for the opportunity to do what I love for my adult life. So it's really been such a rewarding journey.
So I know you've got a PhD in molecular biology and something else, is it?
Yep, I'm a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology. That's correct.
Okay. So was that a childhood dream to do that, or what made you pursue that?
Yeah, so science was always a passion of mine, and I was always, as a child, always curious to understand the why and the how and how could this even make sense. So I've always been inquisitive, and just science was a natural passion for me as I progressed through my early years. And when I went to university, it just seemed for me to really light a fire. I was just very intrigued by science. Interestingly, was very intrigued by the lab until I went to graduate school and found that science was truly a passion of mine, but the laboratory setting to me was not it was not a somewhere I could see myself on a daily basis. So I had a little bit of an internal struggle to try to align my passion for science and my dislike for sitting in a lab 24/7. So it was an important turning point in my early career when I was, years deep into my thesis work, where I recognized that I wanted to leverage my passion for science, but take it in a different direction than the traditional academic setting.
Right.
And that's where I really started to explore the potential of working in the pharmaceutical field in drug development. And so that was kind of my early revelation during my academic years.
So can you talk me through career, the highlights, and what's brought you now from scientist to C-suite executive? What's that journey been like?
Yeah, it was less than a straight line, as most people find as they reflect back on their career. I very early in my career recognized once I graduated with my PhD that I wanted to work in the pharmaceutical industry. But my challenge was how to get my foot into the door because I was surrounded by academic mentors and advisors and not many on the industry side. So I really had to dig deep into learning and leveraging resources around me. And it was the Alumni Association of my graduate program where I connected with folks with similar backgrounds to myself who made transitions into the industry. And they were really critical mentors to me as I very early in my career after graduation was able to move into drug development roles that really it was a school of training, early opportunities in companies like Organon and Roche, and subsequently at Novartis, where I spent the majority of my early career, 13 years at the company, which was really the most amazing experience from a training, learning, and organizational development perspective. I started out in clinical research. I was leading clinical studies in a number of different therapeutic areas in women's health and in psychiatry indications and surgical indications. And I really grew as an individual because of the great exposure that I received in a global organization like Novartis, where resources were unlimited and there was a really huge investment the company made in training their associates. So I very quickly grew in the ranks at Novartis into leadership roles that allowed me to expand my experiences, my expertise, and my level of responsibilities across the company. I started out in clinical research, but soon after rising to levels of leadership within the clinical organization, I recognized that without a medical degree, it was really going to be challenging to continue to grow my career. So it was at that point at my time at Novartis that I moved from clinical development into global program leadership roles that were more expansive and allowed me to leverage my scientific training and my clinical experience that I had received during my time at Novartis, and now move into a broader leadership role that gave me significant global experience because I was tasked at that point with global leadership of assets in the company's psychiatry portfolio. It
Wow.
was a great experience, had pretty substantial responsibility across all the functional areas that support global drug development, and was able to really learn and grow as a leader to have that responsibility of leading these global teams that, many times surpassed 80 to 100 associates. It's a great opportunity, again, through the career development opportunities at Novartis. I was able to attend leadership development programs at some of the top business schools, was sponsored to attend global leadership development programs that were sponsored globally across the organization, and just great opportunities, and made such really important relationships with mentors who would help me continue to grow in my career. And about 10 years into my time at Novartis, I moved out of the global development organization and moved into the US commercial organization. So completely different set of skill sets, if you will, because now I was charged with supporting the commercial inline brands for the company, which was very different than leading early to late stage development compound through the organization. So had really great exposure and built relationships within the commercial organization, had responsibility as a leader of strategic planning and operations to really support at all levels the inline brands for the company. I had responsibility for the medical affairs budget, helped support the training of the medical science liaisons in the field, and other compliance and regulatory functions that supported the broad and expansive portfolio for the company. So it was really a great opportunity for me
Wow.
to broaden my therapeutic experience as well as have the opportunity to learn the commercial side of the business.
Fantastic. And what was the team dynamics of, this is still quite early in your career working through this. So what proportion of the team were women like you? Was Novartis big on that? Were there lots of women in the team?
Yeah, great question. Novartis was great with inclusion and ensuring that really we had diverse voices and experiences around the table. And that was really what kept me there for so long because they were so supportive of women leaders, and just broadening our perspectives around drug development challenges and commercial challenges. Had some amazing women leaders in the organization, and they were both peers and mentors, and it was really a major focus for the company. And that was, in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it was historically a very important objective for the company.
And how do you think that that impacted you going forward in your career? I know you've done a lot of board memberships and things like that. That experience from Novartis, would you say gave you the confidence to continue on that path and push?
100%. I can't say enough on how much they valued the expertise and the competencies that associates were presenting. I mean, I was very new in my career, and yet I had the full backing at the most senior levels within the company. And it was never about, well, show me that you can. I was always tapped for roles where they saw me as a potential who could grow into these new
Wow.
areas of responsibility. And that was just hugely important as my career progressed. It really set a really big, I guess, foundation for me to rely upon as I grew after that more extensively in my career.
Okay. Um, at what point did you come out of big pharma and go into more smaller organizations?
Yeah, so it was after 13 years when I was approached with my first biotech opportunity. And it was a tough decision because I knew that it would be an uncharted path for me. I was very comfortable and very well regarded at Novartis. So making that shift to a small biotech where I would be stepping in to build out organizations was quite um, daunting decision for me.
Yep.
But I just thought, if not now, when? And I decided, let me take this opportunity and kind of test my wings on my own. I felt like I was graduating the University of Novartis and was, going to fly on my own. And I never looked back. That was the best decision. But I'll forever be grateful for all that big pharma provided for me as far as the background and the confidence and the connections, the network, all of that comes with working for such a successful global organization.
Yeah. So going into smaller pharma, into small biotech, what were the biggest challenges for you going into to a much smaller setup?
Probably the biggest challenge, I guess, would be the risk. There was no guarantee for tomorrow. Stepping into, okay, we live quarter by quarter, requiring doing more with less. So certainly small companies are more resource constrained. Those were probably the biggest concerns I had stepping into a small company, but the trade-offs are, immense. Never doubted that I made the right decision in making that transition.
Excellent. And I think it's also a mindset, isn't it? You kind of have to go knowing that you're ready. I know when I speak to lots of candidates who are perhaps in big pharma now and thinking about going into to smaller biotech companies. And there's a very clear difference between those who realize, yeah, it's a roll up your sleeves. I don't know what hat I'm wearing today. And there's something that needs to be done and there's nobody else to do it, so I have to do it. And there are people that struggle with that,
Yes.
that really the principle of going into small bio is fine, but the reality is very different and it's a real kind of struggle for somebody. Did you kind of already have those, I know what I'm, it's still daunting, but I kind of know what I'm going into, that prepared you for that you kind of knew from the outset that there wasn't going to be anybody else to sort of back you up?
Yeah, because I've always been a very hands-on leader, it wasn't scary for me at all. I saw it as a great challenge to build things, to go on uncharted territories and try to fix chaos or create processes or make things happen. So I really rose to the challenge because it's the environment that I thrive in. I am a fixer by nature, and for me, has always been a welcome challenge to be able to go into an organization and help shape the future. So having that uncertainty did not
Didn't phase you.
dissuade me at all. No.
Excellent.
It was exciting, actually, right? Yeah.
And I think that's it, isn't it? That there's people that get, a real kick out of doing that. And then there's people that need that constant safety net.
Yes,
I know
right.
in my own career, I'm trained in one of the largest recruitment firms in the UK, which was fantastic training, and then went to very small recruitment firms where there weren't half the resources that you had. And I think if you are that type of person, and I would build it up and build it up, and then almost when I could sit back and say, well, I'll start again, go and open another one. And obviously that led to me moving here and starting CNA from scratch. So I think it's very much your mindset that that's the way I am and that's what I'm going to
Right.
do. I don't
Right.
think it's you can't be trained into
No,
it. I think that's the
completely
key.
agree.
So you're still within small bio.
I am. Yes, I've gone smaller and smaller.
So what can you tell me about what you're doing at the moment?
Yes, I'm wearing multiple hats. I guess my daytime hat is my Chief Development Officer role at Matinas, where I head the company's global development functions and am leading the company's phase 3 ready asset, which is an oral antifungal that we're developing for the treatment of invasive fungal infections. In addition to my day role as an operating officer, I sit on 2 corporate boards. I'm the lead independent director for a publicly traded anti-infective company called Pili Therapeutics. I've been on their board for 6 years. I'm also on their audit committee, and I'm chair of the Nominating, Compensation, and Governance Committee. And I've had the good fortune of seeing some great successes for the company. We took the company public, and some exciting strategic deals that are happening that's in the public domain now. So very excited to be part of
Excellent.
that story. I'm also the chair of a company called Good Cap Pharmaceuticals, which is a CNS focused company developing psychedelic based derivatives for the treatment of psychiatric disorders, focused on post traumatic stress disorder as our lead indication. Had the good fortune to be chair of the board and a member of the board for the past almost 2 years, and very excited to where I came from, focused on psychiatric indications. Mental health is a key area of unmet medical need.
Yep.
So really thrilled to be part of shaping the story for that company as well.
And what led you onto boards? What was that a conscious decision, or were there just opportunities that kind of presented themselves?
So it was back in 2016 where states and countries started to really focus on representation of women at the board level. Women in Bio, which is a trade organization focused on supporting women who are in the life sciences, initiated a program called the Women in Bio Boardroom Ready program in 2016. And that program caught my attention. And I decided to approach my CEO at Contravere at the time to seek his endorsement for allowing me to apply for participation in this program. And he and the board of Contravere were very supportive. So I applied to be part of the first cohort of women and was successful in being selected. And that program really opened significant opportunities for me and other executive women who really didn't have an in or didn't have a network already established, wherein by many board members are selected based on these networks of executives. So it was really being part of a cohort where like-minded women who were interested in providing their expertise to companies who were growing and establishing themselves, and already established companies. We really bonded together as a cohort, and really it wasn't a training per se as much as an opportunity to really expand our network and establish ourselves as board candidates. And I think many of us who were part of the cohort felt that we were ready for the opportunity, but just didn't have that connection into that board world.
Yep.
That program has really helped to open. I know as a result of that program, hundreds of women have been appointed to corporate boards, and it's really been a great opportunity and a great support to some very talented executives who are
Yep.
now helping to shape the future of health sciences.
And how do you think it? I mean, you kind of already answered it, but a number of conversations that I've had whilst researching and putting together this podcast has really been about women supporting women. There has been some feeling in some areas, there's still that kind of aspect where women feel that in order to succeed, they've kind of got to clamber over the backs of other women. There's this growing, certainly a feeling of this growing movement that says, we're there to help each other. Women can support other women, then we're all being supported. What's your thoughts on that and the importance of that?
Yeah, I think it's so critically important because it's all about reaching your hand down to pull others up with you. And I think that's been something I've really tried to focus as much of my time to, whether it's mentoring or taking the time to meet with leaders who are either making transitions from careers to different roles, or from operating roles to board roles, and even high school girls that are looking to lay out their path for their higher education. So I really try to make sure that a good part of my time is spent helping others in any way, whether that's reviewing CVs or providing guidance or making connections, introductions, or if I'm learning of opportunities, connecting other executive women or women across all stages of their careers to opportunities that they may not be aware of or they may not be on the radar for. So it's like
Fantastic.
try to be a connector as much as I can.
And I noticed that a few months ago you were on a panel that covered that kind of thing, women's journey to the top. I think is that you were on that panel.
Yes. Yes.
What takeaways from that can you share?
Wow, we just learned so much from each other just being around a table. We really highlighted to folks that were participating the importance of sponsors and mentors throughout your career journey and how unique and different those roles are, because mentors, many times work in the background supporting and advising. But sponsors are critically important as well to someone's career trajectory, because they are the ones who will put forward your name for opportunities, will be the one to say, I can vouch for and I would recommend because this person is known to me or has a known track record in whatever area. So I think that was a key takeaway, and the importance of not holding oneself back from career opportunities because, hey, I don't check all the boxes. And that's, I think many of us suffer from that. Well, if I can't do all the things they're requiring of the role, I'm not ready. And that's really not the right mindset, because we really need to have confidence in our ability to fill those gaps as others will. There is no unicorn for every role. And it's having that confidence that you can, fulfill all requirements with time, with experience, and with the network of experts who can help to fill that gap and bring you to the next level with whatever skill set you may feel that you're lacking.
And do you think that is a something that we as women tend to feel that I need to say exactly what I can do, whereas men tend to be much more inclined to almost brush over it? Oh yeah, no, that's fine. You can do that. You can pick that up. Is that something that maybe we should do a little bit more of?
Yeah, I think we should be open about where we have gaps. I mean, there's no shame in having a gap, but I think it's really focusing the conversation around what you do bring to the table.
Yep.
And I think as women, perhaps we don't do that enough, or we should refocus to really highlight what we do bring to the table, which many times, is under the radar, and it's up to us to be our own advocates and really highlight how we differentiate ourselves as candidates for whatever role may be ahead of us in order to be our own advocates.
And what are your thoughts on women and networking? And how much networking people do. Have you had experience with that?
Yes, I think relationships are key in any industry because, it's all hard work is a given, and being competent is a given. But I think we underemphasize the importance of relationships because those are where the currency of trust and collaboration um, really come into play. And unless we're outward facing as well as inward facing to our daily tasks, you can get lost very easily. And I think, unfortunately, COVID and the social distancing and the remote work has not helped to support networking. And I think we need to reinvigorate our our emphasis and focus on networking as a priority because it's not only about you can do for me, it's much more important what I can do for you.
Yep.
And that's really that relationship building that really will support, I think, having smooth transitions when change is inevitable.
But do you think women are as good at networking? Having done this for many years and looking at different sectors that I've worked in over the years, I have found that LinkedIn, for example, the people in the bio space, in pharma space, whatever, don't tend to be very engaging on LinkedIn. They don't post very much. They don't, unless it's to talk about the next step of a trial or the success of something, which is great. But you never really get to see the real people behind that. And I know in the non-profit space, which I also have a division in, they'll talk about anything and everything all the time. And I would have thought that COVID would perhaps have made that easier, to have even online coffee mornings or evening cocktail discussions with groups of people. But I haven't seen that much of it. Am I just missing it? Are they out there, or is it not something that really happens?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely declined since COVID, and I think people are just not focused on that aspect of networking. I think it happens at conferences, it happens, within companies, of course, but it's not as deliberate and as much of a priority as it had been in the past. I completely agree.
Maybe that's something I should look at doing. Any excuse for a cocktail evening. Anyone want to join? Come and join.
Yeah.
Mentors, mentees, let's all get together. Let's have a cocktail and sort out the world. So what's next for you?
So I just continue to look at opportunities where I can help others grow. I really take immense pleasure in talking to college students. I have two at university, and I take every opportunity to speak to them around my career path, to really share my experiences with those up and coming in the ranks in our industry and other industries. So it's really now about giving back. I really enjoy my board work. It's an opportunity for me to coach CEOs, to be part of helping to shape and grow a company. So it's just really about giving back and seeing how I can continue to help companies grow.
Okay, excellent. And what piece of advice would you give to somebody out there listening who's thinking, could I do that? Could I be that? Where would I start? What would I do? What's the one piece of advice that you'd give to somebody to kind of keep them going?
Just to make your aspirations known to those around you because those conversations could open doors that you otherwise would not find on LinkedIn or Indeed. I mean, there's just so much to be said for having conversations with folks around what you aspire to and asking about others' career journeys and going out of your comfort zone. I think that's definitely something that I would highly, suggest, and really making it known what you really would like to do with your career, or just ask about opportunities to learn more about an industry or about a role. We learn every day in our careers, every day in our lives, and you should always be a student, and that's what I've learned. And even today, I learn from others every chance I get. So
Excellent. And one thing that I want to ask you, in your extensive career, what's the most challenging situation that you faced as a leader, as you were working through? How did you overcome it? What did you do?
yeah, so I would probably say that the most challenging has been isolation that has come post-COVID, and really coming out of our little micro bubbles. Working for a small company, it's very easy to just insulate yourself.
Mm.
And when you're not traveling as much as you used to, and conferences are virtual, it's been a challenge to staying connected with those that you have worked with in the past, and friends. And so I think that's been, a challenge for many of us. We're living in this virtual world, and many times I know many people are just texting or emailing, and the use of the telephone to have a conversation has significantly decreased. So I just feel that we as a world now have become much more isolated, and I think that's something that I have found a challenge, and I've seen how it's affected people, in all walks of life. So I
And
think
what
that,
are you doing to, what are you?
yeah, so I am connecting with people as often as I can, make sure that there are wellness checks across all parts of my life, and I just make sure that I leave my office and talk to people and have connections in real world that will not ever replace being on a Zoom call. It's
Right.
really important to make those connections live in person as much as possible.
So those opportunities to, if we could bring back the in-person networking, small groups of
Yeah,
people in a specific area to just talk about life, love, and the universe or whatever, could be a good way forward for
yeah.
everybody.
And I think we're headed back to some level of normalcy from that regard. So I'm very happy that is changing now in the right direction, I believe.
Excellent. Well, if I get one organized, I'll definitely put you
I
on the
will be
guest list,
there.
Terry. Well, listen, I thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. This has been a great conversation, and it's always nice to reflect on where we've been.
And you've been and you've
Yeah.
done. So way to go. And
Thank you.
hopefully we can meet for that cocktail and
I look forward.
network in person.
That sounds great.
All right. Have a
Thank
great
you,
rest of your
Sharon.
day. Take
You
care.
too. Take care. Bye now.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. She Leads Biotech is brought to you by CNA International USA, a woman-owned boutique search firm based in New York. If you're looking to hire talent for your company or want support in achieving your career goals, please reach out to me at contact@cnaint.com. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And remember, the success of every woman should be an inspiration to another. So don't be afraid to share yours. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.